Okay, so today I'm going to show you what's the difference in V-Ray. Like few days ago, the V-Ray came to Blender as a new add-on, or you can say as a new render engine. Let's go to V-Ray first, then sign in and then download the file of V-Ray, then install that file of V-Ray in your PC. Then when you come to Blender and click the add-on, install the add-on, then you see first if you get some issues with the login and it says like sign in before using V-Ray or something like that, just go to the V-Ray directory where you installed V-Ray, go to change license settings and double click on that. You wait a little 1 or 2 seconds, it will take a bit time maybe. Then you get these settings, don't change anything, just press OK and you say like settings updated successfully. Then just close that, and if that problem not solved by then, you can go in those folders and start the chaos login and user ID, both of them. So after that you might in the VA it should be open. I got this issue, so I thought it must be like I need to say because somebody maybe have that problem. So when you using GPU, the same thing, you go to the V-Ray's property, then you can go to the settings here where V-Ray rendering, so you can turn on your GPU from here. Yes, you cannot turn it from the Blender default, the system settings. You need to go to their software because V-Ray is a different software in here. If you have a RTX GPU, you use RTX. If you have a AMD, use CUDA, and depends on you. Okay, now the first thing you see is in here you have a V-Ray separate options, and that's how you install V-Ray. Also when you go to V-Rays, you can see the Cosmos browser, which I don't like. I cannot log in. I tried a lot for some time, but it does not pick up, so I just leave it. I have a lot of assets from Blender Kit or my own assets. The next thing you notice is there is always an interactive panel with the V-Ray. So when you see like in Blender you have cycles, you can see this in the viewport. It can't do that here, and the both of the sides have the settings, and one side have the layers of you rendering all the layers. So you can add more layers or delete some layers. It's something like Photoshop if you used before, and like this, and this will affect your final output if you want, or you can just use them as a final showcase of your preview image, but that will not be the final image. You can save it raw or something else in the final image. If you have a dual monitor, it's better so to use this dual monitor to use this V-Ray buffer. Otherwise you can do it in the sideways or minimize that or maximize each time. It will be a bit trouble for me, at least doing it on a small laptop screen. But anyways, it's you can see when you stop this, it will stop the interactive render, but if you go to the render settings, it will start the interactive render in both of the windows, so it will consume a little bit computing power there. When you stop that, it will pause in the interactive viewer there, and you can turn it on again in the interactive viewer without leaving your viewport from here. So you can see it in the interactive viewer. The settings are almost the same. You can find it all over YouTube, so I'm just going through the basics of what you need to know if you download the V-Ray. So the first you see the GPU texture optimization, where you can resize the textures or compress the textures if you're using image textures. Then you have the progressive and bucket rendering system, if you use those things. Otherwise leave that. You have render mask. If you use render mask like objects or textures or anything, you can use as a render mask, so it will mask out that render part or render thing. Then you have GI, which is global illumination. You have two options, I guess. One is for very detailed global illumination, one is for a very roughly a proxy or lightweight light compelling compiling global illumination, I don't know. So I tried, as you can see, adding a plane and see what extra it does actually in global illumination. So as you can see, for the first one, which is light cache, it use a little bit global illumination and a little bit ambient occlusion at the same time, but so does the brute force. I like barely see any difference in both of them. I don't know what they use for, and I don't wanna know actually also, because after this comparison you can see that you also have caustics basically, so you can use any photo as a caustic preview or output. Then you have basic like global operators, camera, rendering, texturing, materials, all the stuff like there. You have the color management, but only have two options, the sRGB and the ASAG, but you have a few more in the display correction settings here. And yeah, you can try those out, they give some different results, but yeah, almost like you can change it after you just export in raw or something like that. Okay, you can change the material glossiness, or like turn on or turn off the refraction glossiness, all the things. And the last one is system, which don't have much, but you have a V-Ray buffer, which just the main window, which specialty of V-Ray you can say. You can put it on top of any software, or like any software, I mean in any window you opened in your PC. So if you turn that off and open, I just open my browser, it don't give anything. But if I turn that on, it will always like be on the top. I don't know what the meaning, but yeah, maybe sometimes it needed for referencing all the stuff. Next, you can see all the lights from here, and you can got same lights from here also. So you can say the most important or like significant change you can see is the sky texture, sky and clouds. So you get a default sky, clouds, sun all together, but the intensity is too high, for if you use that first time, it goes like boom, and it's too high for easy to see. But yeah, you can decrease that anytime, so it's not that much of a factor. But you can see like you can't change the sun value from here, because there is another way you need to change the sun value. So let's go there later. First see the color properties here. So you have a blend angle and a horizontal offset. Blend angle basically the bloom of your sun, and horizontally offset is the horizontal line of your scene. Next thing, you have the clouds. If you turn on the clouds, you can see the clouds basically. If you use the shadows, the clouds produce shadows in the ground. And yeah, that's all for the clouds. You have different settings in clouds, you can try them out for different things. You have like the invisible option for lights, they are like the same almost. And yeah, the basic settings of V-Ray, like the photon emission and include exclude, which is basically the light linking for our like modern day blender or thing. So for the light, you have a target object. When you add a V-Ray sun sky, you have a target object, which is like your sun is guided by. So we don't need that literally like every time, because we know where we put our sun, right? So it's not that hard in Blender. So you can just go ahead, delete the track to constraint from the sun, and delete the empty or the circle, and you can just like do it manually, like how you move the sun in Blender, and it will change the settings, like the atmosphere, all the things. Yeah, quite good option, and you can change all the stuff from here also. So yeah, pretty much the same. The next is the materials. So you have a different shades of V-Ray materials, and you don't use the Blender default materials in here. If you use the Blender default materials, as you can see, it gives you Blender with the Blender default cube, but you need to add a material. The default material only used for like EVM cycles. So yeah, you can use different materials in a same material for cycles and EV, but I prefer like for using separate materials. So this is how much settings you're gonna get from the basic BSDF file, you say like MTL file relay. And all the textures, utilities, mapping nodes, all the things here are related to V-Ray. So you don't get any Musgrave or noise textures from Blender. It's all V-Ray textures, all V-Ray. They just switched you to V-Ray. So you need to remember which texture does what. And if you want a detailed video, you can ping me in the comment. So yeah, I will create a detailed video on that later. Now let's try out a scene and render that to see like which one is faster or give us better result as an output. So because we have the same file in the folder, so we're just going to copy paste the same materials. So because we can literally change the, so okay, need to first add a light. One more thing, if you add any Blender default lights like point or sunlight or area light, it will become the V-Ray lights. So yeah, that's a bit like relief to use. You can see this is the V-Ray default, all the settings, so you can't find them in Blender, like the photon emission, the options all here. And yeah, they are a little different than that. And include and exclude is always in the light properties, which is a better option, I guess, for hide it in the properties of. You can see we have a harsh edge in the light setting because it will only render in raw format, so you don't get any color profiles changing. So it's render in raw. Next is yeah, you need to make it white to like give this object a little bit shine. So if you make it black, it will not shine. If you use glossiness 0, 1, anything, you can use the Control B shortcut for like the selection here. And if you might use like where my VDM goes, like VBF or whatever it says, yeah, VFP. So you can just like open this, take it a time, then stop it and then cut it, then goes to the render properties and it will just gone. It will not pop up in your scene. I don't know it's a bug or not, but it's worked for me, so I guess yeah, you can try that if you want. Next you have diffuse roughness, that same is for Blender. In 4.3 we get diffuse roughness in Blender. Next is the reflection, which is reverse. So 1 means 0 roughness in Blender and 0 means 1 roughness in Blender. So yeah, this is the default scene we're going to render. Let's see all the stat. So the roughness is 1 here, that means the Blender roughness is going to be 0 because it's just reverse in roughness and glossiness are the same thing here. But we can't change the tint value of the roughness, the reflection there. So yeah, they give a little bit more flexibility. Now for the render settings, you can see like 64, I guess this is the frame buffer size, means the image sampler. So this is the sample size, and then we go to render, and you can see we cannot interact with our scene for a long time. So after the render is finished, let's render out in the Blender cycles. So to be fair, it's gonna be 64 frames without the denoiser, because I don't use denoiser in that image also. And the noise type is going to be automatic for now because it's just the default one, so I don't want to use blue noise. And I guess I need to change the light also, so it's gonna be like 30. In V-Ray you don't have any wattage or anything to signify how much the light power is, so it's just a number, so I just make it 30, but 30 I guess is a lot less. But yeah, now I literally can use this material here, and you need to change if you change the material settings or in here to go. So let's bring principal BSDF in this value, and I get our material output for. So this one is for V-Ray material output and this one is for cycles and EV. Now I'm going to copy this glossiness and paste it 1 minus that glossiness because it's reversed, so it's gonna be like 1 minus of that, so 0 to 1. Yeah, now you can see it's a lot dimmer than that render, but yeah, that's the all settings are the same. So let's render this one also. And you can see the results. The V-Ray ones is a lot brighter than the Blender one, but you can just like make the value up by making the light more brighter. It's the same, so I don't know, like you can use more settings in this properties, but it's almost the same thing you going to do for settings. And if you use the standard, you can see this is also like the clipped value of highlight, because in standard it gives you raw image without any image compositing, you can say, like image the image profile. So AGX is for now the best image profile in Blender. So yeah, that's all. Now for the camera property, you have few options, but I guess not that much significantly anything huge you get in cycles. I mean, you don't get in normal Blender. Yeah, you have a lot more depth of field value, but yeah, at the same time you can see it's reverse. So if your aperture is 0, it means no depth of field. If your aperture goes up, it means a huge depth of field, which is all reverse for Blender also. So some things are reversed in both cases. Now you go a physical camera, and in physical camera you can just like put those values, but it just like make the image brighter, nothing more. I just tried few settings here and there, and they are not like anything much significant. The vignette value is very low, you need to put it very low, but they give it like a million or something like that for any value to put. So ISO is also the same, like it just brings up the exposure of your image, nothing more. And I can't find depth of field in physical camera, which is very odd, I don't know. So that's all, all the settings, all the things you can get from V-Ray. And if you want a detailed tutorial or anything regarding that, you can comment down below your like what you need or what you think. And sorry for the late video. I will be posting regularly after this one, so be with us. See you in the next video.